here because we're going to talk about the Yeti 100. Quite possibly the most, um, I don't know, the most challenging thing I've ever had to do in my life because I have uh, failed it 3 times. And so, why are we here? Because this year is going to be quite different. I got Will here, and Will and I are going to be running this race together. So I guess Will, we probably should give him some background, don't you think?
I think so.
So let's start with a quick background story about why this race is means what it does. So I think it was 2019. I signed up for the Yeti 100 because this race meant a lot to me because I was a huge Yeti fan. I always wanted to run this race, and I like, just be honest, I like the belt buckle a whole lot, and I really wanted that freaking unicorn belt buckle. So we signed up for it. I trained really hard for it. Some of the hardest training I ever went through in my life. We got there, and I put together a solid first 50. Will went out with me for the second 50. It's probably my favorite picture of Will and I together. We're walking out of Damascus. Some lady there, I think her name was Stephanie, took our picture, and it's one of my favorite pictures. So anyway, we start heading up the mountain, and I had expended a whole lot of energy getting into that first 50 pretty quick. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but I think I split the first 50 in around 12-ish hours. It was pretty fast. Uh,
Yeah, you were well on your way to a sub 24 finish. Yeah, no
so
doubt.
I was zooming. So, so you know, we get about halfway up there. It's about 18 miles, and I start feeling kind of wonky. And Sam brings me some food down the trail. He nearly wrecked my van in the process of bringing me food because apparently the area that he parked in was pretty treacherous. But anyway, we get up to the top of White Top. They feed me some more. We turn me around, and we start going down. Um, the crazy thing about this story is this is the part one is the only part of the story you'll ever hear where I actually turn around and go back down the mountain. So we go down the mountain, and I'm just I think everybody has it in their heads. It's that self-doubt starts creeping in, and I was in the that was around the 60-ish range. I wasn't feeling well, but I was able to use the bathroom underneath the bridge. And I came out from underneath there, and at that point, I didn't feel like I could do it, even though in reality that was a whole different story. So we get down to Taylor's Valley, which is around mile 78, 77 ish, and I just quit, and no good reason why I quit. Um, right? I mean, Will and Sam tried to get me back out there to the point where people was worried about my safety passing by. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen to me because they were being so belligerent and tough love. But anyway, I quit. I quit with 20 miles to go and 7 hours to do it. And which was wild because it took me forever to get to that point. It did take me a long time to get from 50 to 78, but in reality I still had a ton of time to go, and like Will had said, then I could walk it in.
Mhm. Yeah, it was what 20, 22 miles left.
Hmm.
But this this is more about not your failure, but us. We're about 6 weeks out from the race. What is it? 5 weeks? 6 weeks?
I think it's
Five.
6. I counted today. I think.
This is going to be a 5 or 6 part series, limited series of the road to redemption. And this would be the, I think, what, fourth try for you
Let's try for that particular race.
for
Yeah.
that race.
Hmm.
So that's what this is about. This is not to recover the same thing we've covered over and over. You DNF'd. So what? This year, it's not about that. Um, a group of friends. We've all come together. You, me, John, Kara, and Garrett's going to help us out. And another friend of ours is Monica. She's going to help us out. Is there anybody else involved in
No,
this?
as of right now, no. And I think it's important to mention too. Will mentioned all those names, but I think what's key to this story to remember is why Will and I are here. Is Will and I have been a part of every single one of these races, and none of the other people can say that.
Right.
John's either one.
And when you were talking about the first race, the first time I went out there, I was relatively new to trail running, very new to ultra running. Um, I don't even remember. Do you remember how you asked me to even pace? Because when I can vaguely remember you asking if I would help you out and then thinking, oh my God, he wants me to run 30, 40 miles. And then thinking, oh, I could do that. But at that time, and people will notice if you see the previews of this, the way I look then versus the way I look now, there's a big difference. Back then, I was in pretty good shape, and that's another part of this series is me coming back from some bad luck, bad decisions, and things that have happened in my life over the last couple of years. And maybe we both can come together at Yeti and exercise some demons together, right?
I heard that.
But do you remember how that we had that conversation about pacing? Because it involved me, it involved Sam, Mary, right?
Hmm.
Um, I just don't remember how all that went down.
Well, realistically, I felt like you were the only one that could get me through the hard part of it all. And I wasn't really wrong because you did get me almost through the hardest part of it. I mean, because you got to remember I was in a bad way halfway up the mountain, and you were able to right the ship all the way to get me up and then to get me to turn around and come back down. So that was the reason why I brought you. Was because one, I knew you were strong enough to do it. You were in tremendous shape. And two, I felt like you knew me enough and well enough to where you could get me moving, keep me moving. And realistically, Will, if you want to remember all this, I've done this race 3 times. Two out of the, you know, two actually that was the only time that you really truly paced me because the third year you were injured and you were only able to help me a little bit. So that my best attempt was the year that you actually took me up that whole mountain and brought me back down.
The second year, I was supposed to pick you up the last 20 miles,
Right.
and you didn't make it to that point.
Right, because
Right.
started peeing blood, and that was the
Right.
year, that was the COVID year,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no aid, I had no electrolytes, and I couldn't right the ship because it was weird how the course was laid out. Um, there was only one place that you could have crew in that spot that I was at. John was actually with me that year, and I wasn't able to do it. So anyway, I think what's important to realize here is Will and I both have a lot invested in that race for two different in two different ways. Will from the outside as a crew member slash friend, me as a participant. But I think at the same time, this race is kind of, as Will mentioned it earlier, this is his comeback race, right? I mean, this is his redemption back into back into, I guess you could say, ultra running because regardless of how fast you finish a 100-mile race, it's a damn 100-mile finish.
Well, yeah, I took the approach on with this one of what better way to get back into shape than train for a 100-mile race. Most people with their that have good sense would think, okay, let's start by training for a 10K or a 50K. But I just want to jump right in and go for it all because I'm severely out of shape, and I don't like feeling this way. I don't. I haven't felt this weak physically in probably 15 years, but I could feel myself getting stronger every day now that I've been training for this 100-mile race.
Mm.
Um, so this series is about, like, just to reiterate what I said earlier, this is not about talking about somebody's failures. This is talking about Jason coming back for the fourth time. I mean, you think about that. Who the hell would come back for that beating a fourth time, right? What makes you want to come back for that four times?
I think honestly, I don't know how many more attempts I have in just running 100-mile race, and it's not because I physically don't can't do it. It's just I'm getting to the stage of my life where things are evolving to where I don't know if I want to invest the time that goes
Right.
into doing 100-mile race. And so for me, this is kind of, I don't want to sound dramatic, but this could be my last hurrah.
And honestly, man, I feel that. I think we're going in a couple of different directions in our life. I could tell that your interests are outside of running 50 miles a week. You talk about visiting foreign lands in New York and wanting to do other things with family. Your kids are grown now. Um, and I feel that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump in on this one. And it kind of spurred me on, was because I knew that if I didn't do it this year with you, that might have been just a void that never was filled.
Mhm.
You know, I never got to see you finish the 100-mile race. You never got to finish the 100-mile race. And we went back so many times. We made one other attempt at a 100-mile finish, um, in 2022.
That was last year at Seven Trails.
So really, this journey has been over the course of 5 years.
Hmm.
You know, so this is going to be more upbeat. This is going to be talking about our wins on a weekly basis, what we're doing to get to that goal. Because this year we're just going to do it. What do we got to lose this year?
We have nothing to lose, and we are going to do it. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it today, honestly. That this is going to be the year, and I think the difference between this year and other years is that for myself, there's a lot of finality to finishing it this year for me. I need to close the chapter on this. I think with that being said, we have put in a lot of work up to this point. I think, you know, between the both of us, we probably have, 260, 250. It's over 500. And then I think both of us got, probably right underneath 200 in June. So, I mean, we are really training hard. We've been running together every weekend, strategizing, working on plans. I think up to this point, we are locked and loaded with a solid plan, and I think we're going to finish out our training together over the next few weeks, and then I think we'll probably taper a little different, but then we'll come together and knock this thing out.
And I think next week when we do this again and we put the next episode out, we'll go more in depth about that training and the things we're doing and the things we're battling on a daily basis, and how we're overcoming to meet this goal. Because the last episode of this will be the race episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would be the one where you'll get to see all the highs and lows, because there'll be a camera with us for the entire 100 miles.
Yep.
And that was going to be fun to put together, because especially if we can pull it off, that finish line footage, I cannot wait to see what it's going to be like.
So
But
first, I'm going to correct you. It's not going to be if, it's when we pull it off.
okay, we pull it
When,
off.
when we pull it off,
When we pull it off, yeah.
you will see it. It's going to be amazing. So,
But I
so
hope you guys enjoy this, the few that see it. this was just laying the groundwork. The next few episodes will go in more in depth about what we're doing, like I said, and we appreciate all the viewers out there or anybody that wants to listen to it.
That's it. We appreciate you.
Secret to every long run
It's the alternative routes.
is the alternative routes. Whoa, and dropping the camera. But no, the real secret is an establishment called Dodge's Chicken, where you can go get you potato wedges, get you a leg of chicken, get you a Gatorade, and get back on the
We
road.
might have a vape pen or two we could take the lid off.
Also some ephedra in there also, I'm fairly certain. But it's nor here nor there. We don't take any of that performance enhancing drugs because we are 100% natural.